Freed, Booch moves pretty fast. And if you
Alex.
stop and look around every once in a while, you might miss it.
Alex. I'm a pickle, Alex.
Thank you for trampling my Ferris Bueller bit. Yes, Freed, you are dressed in a pickle suit.
Happy Halloween.
Yay! Anything else you wanted to add there, Freed?
Nah, I can't drink Booch in this. I'm going to escape.
To the podcast audience to just hear the rustling of his cheap pickle Rick costume. It's kind of like theater of the mind right now. I'm hearing is unzipping, the rustling of cheap polyester.
Oh, freedom.
Freedom.
Yes.
What's up, dude? How are you, Freed?
Hanging in, man. Halloween season. Spooky. Canes are scary, bad, but still winning. Softball got canceled. We're live. Can't complain.
We're both in bad moods today, we decided.
Yeah. I figured Pickle Rick might get me out of it a little bit, but
did it work?
A little bit, yeah. Feel better.
Rick got you out of your funk?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's we're recording this on Monday, October 30th, the day before Halloween 2023. I am recovering from being at a wedding over the weekend where Youth XL performed, and the theme of the wedding was 80s, and they asked us if we could dress up like characters from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So I am here.
Oh, that's what that is.
Bueller finest, yes.
I thought you were Abu from Aladdin.
No. I would obviously need a hat in order to pull that off.
The vest you got, I assume Youth XL did it big over the weekend?
What does that mean to you?
You did good.
Yeah, totally. Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we didn't blow it, if that's what you're asking.
Perfect.
Yeah, I had to play the first dance song. I had to play and sing the first dance song.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Actually done that. Yeah, I was nervous, but we did it. We pulled it off, baby. So did the Cardiac Canes, pulling another spooky overtime victory out over the dreaded Virginia Cavaliers.
Yeah, who had beat Virginia in overtime, lose to Georgia Tech, beat Clemson, beat A&M on the season bingo card?
I don't know. I wonder what they don't really keep track of that stuff like they do with like March Madness with perfect brackets. It'd be interesting to try to do. Maybe we should do that every year. We should actually try to submit a perfect schedule.
Yeah. Just for one team. I mean, just for one team, that's tough on its own. Imagine the whole. I mean, ESPN has the college pick'em thing, 10 teams per week, 10 games per week. Nobody gets all those, right?
That's true. Yeah. So just for Miami was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Freedball, Cardiac Canes, spooky. I'm very terrified of the next 3 games coming up for the Miami Hurricanes, but we can get into that a little bit later on in the show. But folks, before we start talking about Canes games and all that stuff, the question is, who is the guest on with us this week for a very spooktacular Halloween episode? Who could it be, Freed? Woo.
Spooky.
Well, it's none other than my neighbor, George Johnson the Third. Welcome to Booch Ball, George.
How you doing, boys? Just want to point out, I am not the George Johnson III from UMass that put a hurt on my Army Black Knights this past weekend.
I was so confused when you sent that text. That didn't click for me.
Well, here we are.
I'm on bits that you can't even comprehend. George is playing 4D with his bits.
So over the past weekend, sitting on the couch, listening mostly in scrolling Twitter, to the Army football game against UMass. And sitting there, and the announcer goes, and now George Johnson III has the football, and he's dangerous when he has it. And
Yeah, he is.
I was starstruck. You never expect to hear your own name, especially in the state
with that effusive commentary. It's such effusive praise.
At least it wasn't Gus Johnson.
Wow. All right. Well, George, welcome to the show. Why are you here? Talk to us about who you are. What's your deal? What can you possibly add to the Booch Ball proceedings?
So I've been a college football fan since I was 13. Grew up in a household where we were not big sports fans, but you watch ESPN growing up and you see the atmosphere around college football, and immediately I was in. Didn't really have a team, just liked watching all the games. Over time you get to see good teams, bad teams. But as of late, I've gotten married to a Vanderbilt alum. So now I am a Vanderbilt fan. And growing up, we were going to Army Black Knights games up at Mikey Stadium. So
really,
I bleed black and gold.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, so that's the West Point connection, right? That's the.
Yep.
So you actually do have a vested interest in watching the Army Black Knights.
I do indeed. It's very sad.
Why are they called that?
Great question. I have no idea.
The Army Black Knights. There's gotta be. I mean, it's a play on words. Black Knight, right?
Oh,
dark.
Very fair.
But
the Dark Knight always rises, except for in West Point.
Wow. Wait, I'm kind of curious. All right, we're getting sidetracked here, but George, you and I know each other through the Brooklyn neighborhood scene. I believe we met on the first day of the NFL season last year, 2022, where we both happened to be watching the Chargers play the Bills.
Monday Night Football.
I believe.
Oh no, Thursday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football. Yep. I just wandered over to this local neighborhood spot and I didn't know anybody there. And George happened to be there. And it also, not only being the first night of the Thursday Night Football NFL season, it also was Thursday trivia night. And then George and I got to talking because he was wearing a Ladanian, right?
Ladanian.
There isn't an L, another L. A Ladanian Tomlinson powder blue Chargers jersey, and then a green Jets hat on top of it.
So it wasn't Chargers Bills. It was Rams Bills.
Oh.
But I was wearing a Chargers jersey and a Jets hat because I didn't like either of the teams playing.
Yeah. So you stuck out not that there was a ton of Bills fans there, but the distinct combination of the Jets and the powder blue Chargers jersey really drew my attention to you. And then we got to chatting. I ended up joining your trivia team, and we ended up winning that Sandy Jack's trivia night and our first time hanging out.
Your tennis knowledge was phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't just know college football. I also played tennis as a child. And now George and I are continuing our winning ways. George is the goalie of our intramural soccer team. Is it still called intramural if you're 30 years old?
Adult league.
Maybe a beer league.
Rec league?
Rec league.
Rec league? Yeah, I guess so. And we are sitting firmly in first place in our division currently right now for you, just in case you were curious.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that's what's up with us. George, what's your take on kombucha here, son? What's your kombucha connection?
I've never tried it. I've always considered it. Was really never that into fermented products.
What does that mean?
Such as pickles? Pickle Ricks?
Well, I mean, the pickle earlier was fantastic, and pickles are one of the better ones, in my opinion. But when it comes to...
What are other ones that have...
Sauerkraut.
Natto, for one. The kimchi? Fermented beans.
Natto. I'm
not familiar with
natto. Ooh. Very, very bad texture.
I've also never tried Icelandic fermented shark. But
that I haven't tried.
What about yogurt? Do you hate yogurt?
No, I do like yogurt. So
what about sourdough bread?
Not a fan.
Yeah, not a huge fan either, actually.
I'm just looking up fermented foods.
Fermented foods.
I didn't know that sourdough was fermented. You like beer, don't you?
I do. That's the problem.
Oh, got him.
Interesting. Okay, but so haven't been drawn to fermented foods, but so so then why would you have anything to do with kombucha? Have you really had kombucha at all?
Never tried it.
Oh,
This
you've
will be
never
my first
tried
time.
kombucha.
This will be my first time.
Oh, so you've listened to a couple shows here, so you've kind of gotten a feel for what's happening here.
Long time listener, first time joiner.
So in our pre-show discussions, we were trying to figure out a booch for the group to gather upon, and I don't want to spoil anything for the what we're drinking segment, which is certainly right around the corner. But something interesting popped up with George here. He said no kiwi. So that took GTs off the table. Turns out George is allergic to kiwi, therefore GTs not doable.
Sorry, I crushed that for you, boys.
How do you figure that out? Is that something you've known since birth?
No. It's just
a horrible story that accompanies that.
No horrible story. Just itchy mouth, and that's about that. Oh, an allergy test as well.
Okay.
Kiwis are good. I'm sorry. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a bad situation.
Because I've heard that like the outside of the kiwi that'll
get you itchy.
Cause, yeah, like it's. I mean, if you look at it, it looks like it would cause an allergic reaction.
Disclaimer, though, I do love New Zealand. I see that in the chat. Big New Zealand fan.
Yeah, well, they don't play college football, so I could give a shit about those guys. All right, well, George, it's time for you to get onto your first booch ever. It's time for us to take a little jaunt over the spooky little stroll to the first segment of Booch Ball, which is, of course, what we're drinking. Freed, what the flip are we drinking today?
Well, we couldn't do GTs, so how about Brew Doctor? The Orange Oasis kind of goes with the whole Halloween theme we got going on, which is a theme.
No, I didn't even think of that.
Unofficial Halloween theme.
Yeah, the Brew Doctor. Okay, the Orange Oasis. I'll tell you right now, George. The reason why we suggested GTs for your first kombucha is because that is a much better entry-level booch, I have to say. And the Brew Doctor is one of the top kombucha companies, one of the more widely available kombucha companies. But the Brew Doctor has an interesting taste that is specific to the brand, and it's, I don't know, what's the word? It's not controversial, but
yeah, a little bit controversial. It has a floralness to it. They brew their teas with almost like they use some more flower petals, and it's not always our favorite, although it is growing on me personally. The first few I had, I was not a huge fan of. But this is a black tea. It's not the white tea that we had a few weeks ago. It should be a little more tea, like more tea. Is that a word? More tea forward.
Tea forward, yeah.
Tea.
That's what I would go for. All right. So George, before we drink this, what are you expecting this to taste like?
I'm expecting a orange black tea. Citrus forward, potentially. I didn't expect floralness, but I'm excited.
Do you know that this is going to be carbonated?
I did not. I was actually going to ask if I should move it around because I know there could be sediments. Don't shake it. You want to
do a subtle inversion.
Okay.
Do a little barrel roll, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
so you can allow for some movement. But this doesn't look like there's a lot of sediment in here, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
At least in mine.
Well, whatever's in here, let's get into it.
Let's go ahead and crack it open. This is supposed to be a sunny blend of juicy blood orange, spooky, and velvety Earl Grey tea.
It is a spooky flavor, huh?
Smells fantastic.
Who's Earl Grey, anyways?
Earl Grey is black tea with oil of bergamot, which is another citrus.
I said, who is Earl Grey?
Oh.
Ooh. Very interesting.
Can you ask me what is Earl Grey?
For $500, what is Earl Grey?
Earl Grey is black tea with oil of bergamot, which is another citrus. In case you didn't hear me 30 seconds ago. I don't know who Earl Grey is, but I'm assuming he's related to the Earl of Sandwich.
Yeah, all Earls are related.
Slop alert.
Yes. George, what does your sloth say?
Sip it good.
Dun, 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 dun. If you wanna drink a Booch, you must sip it.
Sip it.
Except for Cody, who on our last episode, who chugs Booches.
Okay, so. George. First impressions. What do you think?
The acidity is actually really nice. It reminds me of a non-alcoholic Athletic Brews beer. Really enjoy it, and I'm a big tea drinker at home. Get home. Oh, wait! My wife has entered the fray here. She's trying it with me.
Grace.
Grace's is Be the Ball, the Booch Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, sipping good. Mine just says nice.
Thoughts?
Nice.
I feel
she
like
says she likes it.
Nice. Okay. This one definitely does have Earl Grey tea vibes, big time.
Yeah, it's very tea.
It's a very tea Booch.
I was afraid that I was gonna hate this, and I actually like it. I'm not like a huge like orange flavored thing like guy, but I have recently started eating oranges again, just like orange slices and just cutting them up and eating them straight up. And orange tea is one of those like rare things that sometimes you can get away with, but I usually stay away from it. But it's pretty good. I think it's the blood orange. I like that has like kind of like that slight bitterness to it.
Yeah, it has that essence of orange that you get all up in your grill when you break into a fresh orange. That orange peel oil, like it really comes through in this kombucha. It's not the best one I've ever had, but I'm pretty hungry right now. And when you get hungry for Booch, they all start tasting really good. And I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, there's kind of two ways of having Booch. The one is like if you're hungry and you need something to tide you over. Booch is a nice little thing that's like heavy enough that it can like fill your stomach. But then there's also the post heavy meal Booch, and both like work well. Like I have I was in New Haven, Connecticut for the first time in a while over the weekend, and I got to go to my favorite wing spot, Archie Moore's, and so I got 14 wings, and then I brought back 7 of them from Archie Moore's. I can only assume they stayed good in my car because it was like 50 degrees. I feel like yesterday, so they survived the trip back to my fridge, and I cooked them up. I had them for a little late lunch, and now I definitely need some Booch to help keep that activity down. You know what I mean? Keep it moving in the right direction.
Stay cultured.
Stay cultured, my friends.
Not peace.
All right, everybody. What we're drinking. So I feel like we're all skewing fairly positive on the Orange Oasis. I feel like we're all.
Yeah,
as my first, I will remember it for the rest of my life.
Wow, you never forget your first time. I'm a little confused as to why the cap is like light purplish, like lavendery. Why? Why did they make it that color?
It's like a baby blue almost. A little loud,
just like confused which bottles that they had. Like I've noticed this with a couple of them. There's like seemingly very obvious like color choices.
Like
that
you
they
think
do.
it should be orange? Is that what you're saying?
It should be orange.
Why wouldn't the Orange Oasis not have an orange cap?
Well, you don't always want your helmet.
They all have different caps,
uniform, right? You don't want the helmet and the uniform to clash.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. You
Maybe.
think it's a style choice? We're gonna have to ask.
All right. Well, before we move on, let's hit the flavor profile real quick.
Oh yeah, please do. These are the Madden ratings, George, for every Booch. So
Yeah,
flavor
fruity,
profile:
2 floral, 1 herbal, no spice, and I would agree.
Not getting a lot of spice at all.
Yeah.
Well
no
done.
spicy.
Well done.
I wouldn't say it's that fruity though. It's a little more herbal to me, but maybe that's just like the teeness of it.
Yeah. No, I think it's fruity and floral.
It's that big juicy.
Enough about what we're drinking. It's now time to move on to what we're thinking.
What we're thinking. Wow, that's the first time that we've switched that. We used to have like little interstitial things that we would put in. Like I was always doing like a Sports Center announcer voice. Like, what we're drinking. Like Sports Center Top 10. Brought to you by.
Sometimes I just gotta grab the reins and, pull us in a certain direction.
Moving in the right direction, just like the Booch flowing through my intestines. All right, everybody. What we're thinking. Well, we didn't really have too much on the docket today, but as we were talking to George about what we were gonna do for the slate and who was gonna be playing, George did something that I hadn't seen before which is, no guest on Booch Ball has done this before, but you actually took what the slate was coming up for this week, and you input it into an NCAA football 2014, I imagine, simulation, and simulated every single game to determine who you were going to be picking. So we will save the final picks and everything like that for later in the segment. But George, talk to us about this simulation. How did you play that out? Did you just plug them in one at a time? How do you make sure that all the rosters are up to date? What's going on with NCAA 2014? Because I see a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I just am confused about how it is continuing to survive.
So NCAA 14 has one of the biggest modding communities on PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3 still to this day. I play on PC. I continue to update the rosters every week. After each week, Operation Sports has a thread where people can drop their new and updated rosters.
Just to be clear, you're not physically doing the attributes. You're just uploading somebody else's updates.
Yeah, some other nerd is doing that. Right. As much as I would love to do it myself, I do not watch enough college football where, I'm taking it all in. So
I feel like there needs to be a community where you have one person assigned to each team. And
that would be the best way to do it.
Do that.
Yeah,
that's sick.
They have it currently. They're doing it by divisions, it seems, where an SEC guy is doing the SEC part, and they just keep going through. And honestly, they're very accurate.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, that breaks down, right? Like in the third string, the third string linebacker, they have no idea how good that.
No, they're in there. And you're not going to have your
walk-ons, but.
You're not going to have your long snapper.
But they don't know what their attributes are, do they? Like, they're not going to be like, oh, this guy has like better strength than agility. Because they never play.
If you have dudes who's familiar with every team, they can throw something in there. I feel like I could fill out attributes for the full Miami roster, but who knows how that would compare to somebody else doing that for their other team? There's a bias.
I would love to see that segment.
Maybe sometime soon. Next off-season Booch Ball.
First ever 10-hour-long Booch Ball stream. Just Freed being like, Tyler Harrell's acceleration is
showing him the box.
8.5.
TVD's accuracy has dropped. One more.
-4. Yeah. All right. So George, you've got these threads. You're modifying your NCAA football. Are you still playing? Are you playing NCAA football regularly?
I still play. I'm not using updated rosters at this point. I'm currently on year 5. I started
random future,
random future players. Yeah,
you're beyond the present.
At this point, I'm just naming my players whatever I like. It's all silly stuff like the longest Willie.
Right.
That was my quarterback at Coastal Carolina. He was very fast.
Chanticleers.
So you went Coastal, you went with the teal turf, you're trying to take them all the way. Where are you guys at? Are you a perennial powerhouse at this point?
So we won at Coastal. We won the whole damn thing. And after that, I got an offer from Pitt, took that, and things didn't go too hot. Pitt. Yeah. I was trying to get the Miami gig, I swear.
But we paid Mario too much money. He's not going to come out from an $80 million contract. I don't care what you did at Coastal Carolina.
He was in the hot seat though.
Coach at Coastal Carolina that wins a championship at Coastal Carolina can take their pick of the litter, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not true. Not every job is available.
Well, if you look at my background here, it's a screenshot from one of my games. It's this fella right here.
Wait, how do you do that? Freed, how do I highlight it?
I got it.
I don't know.
That's my create a coach, whatever. And I started at Vandy. Then I went to Coastal because I lost the job at Vandy.
How much effort did you put into doing how your coach looked?
It's just the super basic skinny white guy, and it worked.
Just like coach model. It kind of looks like Dabo a little bit.
Don't say that.
It kind of really looks like Dabo.
We're not running down any hills, I promise.
All All right, so this is from when you. All right, so we're just running through the what level of difficulty are you playing?
Heisman. So I put it all the way high.
Okay,
Do you
so you're
play
playing
all
at
your
the
games or do you sim?
No, I play both
Good
sides
for
of the football.
Good for you. Goes both ways. Okay.
This is real shit. When I play video games, it's real stuff. I'm not plus. You're not messing around. Wow, incredible. All right, so like Freed, we were talking about this off mic, and you were a little trepidatious about this topic because you never played any NCAA football games as a kid.
I didn't. I was a baseball and a basketball video game guy. 2K, the show. I did NFL 2K5, the final NFL 2K franchise. I played that game for a few years, and then I went to Madden 2008, and that was the last football game I ever played.
Well, you ended on probably the biggest high note of football games. 2K5 and Madden 08 were
2K5 was so good. Like I had my dudes doing yoga to prepare for games, get the agility up. That was such a good game. Madden having the domination, the monopoly, it was just a shame because it just stagnated. They didn't keep it moving. It's too bad.
No innovation.
A true shame.
I had my original Xbox for until I was 23, I think 23 or 24 years old. And so because I had the original Xbox, I could never go past the year 2007. So that was the last year that all of my games like ended at. So I started with NCAA football 2004, which I believe had Carson Palmer on the. I love how there's somebody commenting in the chat and then we miss it, and then Freed puts the chat up at the point where there's nothing left in the chat. Hilarious. But I had Carson Palmer on my cover of the first ever football game I got. 2000 NCAA football 2004 was what I had. And I remember there was one I figured out that you could like make custom characters. Like I would always play as the Miami Hurricanes like the whole time. Then I got kind of bored at that for we're all here for the Freed, Mr. Commenter, Sean. But then I realized that I could just make a 7 foot tall, 400-pound quarterback. So I remember I was like Cincinnati, who I think was like bad, like really bad back in 2004. And I just like had a 7 foot tall, 400-pound quarterback. And I just installed like a triple option offense with my 99 speed quarterback and just dominated, but which was fun. But there's only like a certain amount of time that you can do that. I feel like, I don't know. Should we acknowledge that Freed just left the chat? Do you think he's doing a bit, or do you think something?
He might be getting repickled.
Oh, yeah, that's probably.
I'm feeling it.
But there's a certain point I feel like when you're playing these games where like you can't just be the 7 foot tall, 400-pound quarterback. Like you have
to try to make it difficult for yourself.
Yeah, well, okay, you're talking, Mr. Heisman. You know, we can't all play at that level, I guess. What about you? Have you guys ever seen those TikToks of like the guy who's like creates like these like insane player names? Who's like Kwaslanda Bat Thunk, and it's like just like a 7 foot tall guy who's just like destroying every video game sports franchise.
I have. And then he takes it to GTA 5 and he's like, if he doesn't win this game, he gets run over by a car. And then it's a GTA 5 clip of that created character getting run over by a car.
There you go.
How about the greatest video game moment of all time? The Packers receiver,
Greg Jennings.
Leg. Yes, Greg Jennings.
He carried a team on his back.
On my back. Doh. All right.
Who's the safety? One of the hardest.
Well, we still got a little time here and what we're thinking. I wanted to get back into 2023, and the playoffs are going to release their first rankings tomorrow night. I want to just touch base real quick, and what are we thinking? Is this a slam dunk top four or any wild cards? So Georgia, pretty much guaranteed. Georgia, guaranteed.
Georgia? I don't know, Freed. Why? Just because they won last year, we think they should be in first place all of a sudden?
Not
All
necessarily.
right.
I'm
Hey,
just
what have you
saying
done for me lately? Okay.
they're locked into the top 4. And you got Ohio State and Michigan and Washington and Florida State. So it's going to be
Michigan
4.
should be canceled. They should get the death penalty as a program. So that's Georgia out. Too soon to tell whether or not they're good. Michigan, death penalty for the program. I've seen enough evidence. They're gone. OSU, you can't have OSU without Michigan, okay? There's nothing there. If there's not the
I
Michigan
think Miami
rivalry.
could sneak in.
Yeah. So Michigan's out. They're bye. Ohio State is out because they can't play Michigan, so they don't have enough on their resume. Penn
So
State's
Washington
garbage
number
anyways.
1.
They haven't played anybody. So it's my man Penix. And
I'd like to see those 4 in and Florida State at number 5. That's where I was going with this. I don't want Florida State in there.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Who do you want?
I want Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Washington.
And Air Force, baby. Georgia's out. Air Force in.
James Madison, put him in.
James Madison deserves a bowl.
Okay.
Massive injustice for the NCAA does not consider James Madison to be eligible because this is their second season of transition, therefore ineligible, despite the fact that they're playing a full FBS slate and are ranked in the top 25.
Okay.
And
Here's
they
what we
crushed
do.
last year.
Yeah.
We take out Michigan, canceled. They're gone. Put in James Madison. We switch their ineligibility. So we take the ineligibility from James Madison. We stick it.
Or if
I
we
can only
take
imagine
their
if
eligibility and move it somewhere else.
somewhere else to Ann Arbor. Exactly. So James Madison, and I'm sure they have a bunch of great wins. I'm sure they have wins over William and Mary. So that alone, I feel like is pretty good. And then, so Michigan's out, and then like I said, Ohio State has to be out because of that. So that's where we give and salute to their service, the Air Force Academy, and we bring in Air Force. So I've got my top 4. I've got Georgia, James Madison, Air Force, and Washington. Because fuck Florida State.
Big Phoenix energy,
That's
baby.
my-
I think
that's
I'm going to
my
reverse it. I'm going to reverse it on you guys because I believe that we
classic
believe that
DJ move right here, reversing that.
iron sharpens iron. And if there's anything I know about the Atlantic Coast Conference, is the fact that one team is sitting at the top, and that's Florida State. So Florida State goes number 1.
Fuck them.
They're playing the hardest competition in
Iron
all of the
sharpens
FBS.
like a spear, an iron spear.
Yeah, and we're planting it right in midfield.
Oh my god, I can't believe
We're
we
going to
came
go
up
Florida State.
with a podcast like this.
Then we're going to go Washington because
Okay.
I'm a very big Phoenix guy.
For sure, I can tell. We can see that from a mile away.
We got Georgia.
The longest Willie.
We got Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to say Ohio State, even though I don't want to do it. But it's either them or Michigan. And I think Harbaugh should be put in prison. So, and that prison being the Chicago Bears.
Well, the good news is Ohio State and Michigan will have the chance to settle it on the field, right? And we always have our big time Thanksgiving episode. We'll have Dr. LZ come back on for that.
Dr. Warren Zimmerman.
Drink some turkey, eat some booch. It'll be a blast.
They should make turkey booch.
We should make shirts that say drink some turkey, eat some booch, and have a picture of LZ. I'd wear it.
Yeah, you're right. We should do that. That's a good idea. What about this, boys? Gravy booch. I don't want to give too much away. But
Let's call Brew Doctor. Come on.
gravy booch.
Make it happen.
They already got
Slop.
the Snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle cookie. We got to do that later in the
Oh,
season.
yeah, we need to have that. Brew Doctor's really coming in strong, guys. Brew Doctor are always kind of like, they're always kind of like second or third fiddle behind GTs and Health Aid, but they've rebranded. It seems like they're really going for it, and I really gotta. Which team out here? Which team in the NCAA is the Brew Doctor? I feel like it's like Penn State.
They got Michigan and Ohio State in their same conference.
But I feel like they're like a Washington team. They're like they're the kind of surprise team with a new look.
What about
That's
Texas?
turning
Kansas?
The Longhorns.
The
Nah.
Longhorns.
They're in the.
Quinn Ewers. He does like kombucha. Do you know Quinn Ewers is the first and only quarterback to receive an NIL deal from a kombucha company?
That
And
we're
you're not big Ewers fans?
No, we love
should-
Ewers. Yeah,
I
that's
was
why we
gonna
always
say
pick
this
'em.
has to be a Ewers podcast.
Yeah. I'm just
Even though
saying.
horns down.
I think that there might be a some kind of licensing copyright thing with us saying that Brew Doctor is Texas. I'm sure that they already have something. You know which brand was that, Freed? Was it Cosmic?
It was Holy Kombucha, Dallas based, I think.
They are from Portland, Oregon. So
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. But I mean,
The
honestly,
Brew Doctor, I mean, so
Oregon.
Oregon.
yeah,
They're
why
both
not? Go
Buckeyes.
Ducks.
It's not a bad one.
or at the very least, the Beavers.
Go Beavs.
Tough loss for them this past week.
Yeah, very tough. Hate to see it.
All right, well, how about we stop thinking and start picking? What do you say?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Unless you had anything scary good or scary bad, Freed. You were trying to get that segment off the ground for a little bit.
Nah. Save it for the kids.
Let's see. Scary bad is your Halloween costume with Pickle Rick. Scary bad is the fact that George's coach that he created in NCAA football looks like Dabo Swinney. Scary good, Alex's Ferris Bueller costume. Scary good, Alex's performance on the podcast so far. I feel like I started off a little slow, kind of been in a bad mood today, but I feel like it came in strong towards the end, especially towards that the college football segment. I'm gonna give myself an A for the day. You boys, Freed, a little bit worse than usual. B-. George, first time on, pretty good.
C+.
I'll give you B+. All right. Well, now you say C+, I'll give you a B because I don't want to overshoot it. All right, boys. You know what it's time for. I already give you a little hint. We're already picking out some grades. It's now time for the third and final segment of Booch Ball, which is, of course, who we're picking.
Who we are picking, and I didn't write it down. So, Alex, who are we picking today?
Oh, you know what it is. It's the rumble down and tumble. It's the LSU Tigers traveling to Alabama, Tuscaloosa. Bama favored by 3 points. These are two teams who are ranked in the top 15. LSU is like hovering around 13. Bama at number 8. Guys, you got to think this is going to be an incredibly important game for Bama to keep their playoff hopes alive. Who do you think is going to win this one or at least cover the spread? Freed.
Does Georgia have – does LSU have 2 losses? Or
Yes,
do
they
only
do.
have 1?
They're out.
Who was their second loss? Because I know it was Florida State.
Mississippi. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Wow. Yeah, I'll take Bama to cover.
George?
I think I'm going to have to take LSU simply because in this rivalry, the home team doesn't make that much of a difference. And I think LSU is going to be trying to play spoiler.
Hell yeah. Look at
So
George
fun
doing some
fact.
research.
Fun fact, Alabama's 7-12 in Tuscaloosa, where LSU is 4-17-1. So maybe that's just Bama good, but I'm seeing it a different way.
Interesting. All right. I love it. And for that reason, I also am rooting for the Tigers because we cannot have Alabama in this playoff. We got to keep them out. This is the year we keep them out. If Bama's in, that means Penix is out. And I'm sorry, I want Penix in.
Full insertion.
Insert Penix. All right, boys. Next up, we've got Oklahoma reeling off a loss to knock them out of playoff contention. Potentially.
Not so fast. Not so fast.
With a big, scary loss to Kansas. Awful stuff there. Oklahoma traveling to Oklahoma State. This is known as, Freed?
Bedlam.
Which means crazy.
Yeah.
This is a crazy. Why do they call it Bedlam? Is that just like a fun word?
Because it's crazy.
Okay, great. Good research, Freed. All right. Oklahoma favored by 5.5. George,
That's
who do you have this one?
So this is an easy one for me. It's got to be Oklahoma. Going back all time, Oklahoma is 90-19-7 against Oklahoma State.
90-19-7. Yeah,
it's
but
a lot of games.
Saturday. Do you ever consider that?
Yes, but also no.
Very
Well, they
fair.
don't have to win. They just have to cover by 5.5, but I think they will. Oklahoma State is a little bit fraudulent to me. I don't see them as a legitimate team in the top 25 this year. Oklahoma still has a chance to make the playoffs if they win out and beat Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I might still insert Penix over them, but they're still alive in my book.
I can't blame you for that. I am also taking the Sooners here, boys. Whenever you see a spread that's 5.5 on Booch Ball, Freud's favorite number is 5. You always got to take those points. So 5.5 points. I got Oklahoma Sooners covering
Boomer
this one.
Sooner.
Boomer Sooner. Shout out David Kramer, who was just down here visiting me. Huge Sooners fan.
For the record, Alex, if you're taking the points, that kind of implies Oklahoma State, but we'll let it slide.
Oh yeah, I just like the points. I'm just picking them independent of the gambling aspect of it. I just like the points.
It's a good number.
Points. Yeah, I like the numbers. I'm picking the independent numbers. But I have, just so the record's clear, Boomer Sooner. Okay, next up, we've got a battle of 2 pack something teams. The Washington Huskies, featuring Michael Penix Jr.
Don't say Penix.
Traveling to Southern California to take on Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
Caleb Williams and his huge Penix.
UW favored by 3 points, by the way.
Penix.
Penix!
That's my pick.
I'm picking Penix too. What about you, George?
I'm taking Washington. Fun fact, Michael Penix Jr. was originally committed to Tennessee, and that's a fun fact for me specifically because it makes me happy.
As
imagine him. Yeah, exactly.
What if he could have been
and
there?
Then he ended up enrolling in Indiana, and then he ended up as a Husky.
He looks good in purple.
Oh yeah, just like Freed on Tuesdays.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. All right, boys. It's now time for our sediment section, which means it's time for us to drain the bottom of the college football barrel and get all the nasty little sediment pieces out for the football team. It's also time for us to do the same thing with our Brew Doctor Orange Oasis. Bottoms up, boys. The final sips.
I could honestly drink another full bottle of this right now, no problem. Although I didn't write anything down, I do know the sediment pick off the top of my head today because this one is spooky. We got 2 4-4 country schools. Marshall at App State in Booch-loving Boone, North Carolina. App State favored by 4 points. So many 4s. It's spooky. Who you picking, Alex?
Well, I just got to give it to the Boonsters over there. I love Appalachian State. I want to go down to an Appalachian State game. I feel like that would be really something.
I'll meet you there, dude. Booch Ball road trip next season?
Yeah, hang out with some hippies down there. Find somebody living in a cabin.
You would love App State.
Yeah, would I?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of the Ferris Bueller costume is kind of like an App State vibe a little bit. It's also Vandy and Army, kind of like black and yellowy.
It could also be a Tiger, like an LSU type.
Yeah, go
or
Tigers.
Mizzou. Oh, that's a Mizzou vest.
Yeah, I might just like wear this around, you know? It's kind of chill.
Same.
Know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got Appalachian State here. I don't know anything about Marshall or Appalachian State except that they're both 4-4. And so when they're both 4-4 and the home team's favored by 4, you got to take the home team, Appalachian State. How's that for research?
What do you think, George?
I'm saying Marshall. If you look at their record all time, App State's 15-10, but just through the last 5 meetings between these two, Marshall's 4-1.
You thunder and heard that, Freed.
I just thunderingly belched into my mic, but I put it on mute like a good podcast.
Oh, you got to keep that in, Freed.
Good stop.
Keep that in.
It's great territory in the kombucha influencer game.
Yeah.
Some like the burps, but you know, it could surprise people.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm taking Appy Pappy. I want my Boone boys.
Freed, did we pick everything the same?
We might have.
LSU, Oklahoma, Phoenix.
Oh no, I took Bama.
Oh.
So the tiebreaker will be needed if there's a push, but we're going to do a tiebreaker nonetheless, like we do every week. We do the Miami score. Miami is at NC State this week. I think Miami's 4-point favorites, despite being clearly not good. So I don't know. I mean, we didn't really get the joy of talking about Miami much today. But before we do, let's talk about Georgia's simulation scores from our slate.
So I did simulate all 4 of these picks, and this is just the computers, so don't get angry at me.
Wow.
So for the first game, it's the Battle of Bedlam.
This is the GCS, Georgia's computer system.
Correct. We're better than Watson AI. I promise. Put me on Jeopardy. We got 38-22 Oklahoma.
Okay.
Then we got LSU versus Bama. It's 40-28 going Bama's way. In the Washington UFC game, we have 59-45, an absolute barn burner.
I love how it knows there's just going to be no defense.
With Phoenix coming out on top.
Hell yeah.
As it should.
And finally, in the Marshall App State game, this was a crazy game. I was watching it as it simmed. App State got out to a big lead and blew it at the very end.
Oh.
Marshall comes out on top, 41-34, holding App State to 3 points in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Get your DraftKings in.
You know there was some poor clock management there by App Sate in the simulation.
I wonder how like the simulations like.
Did they run the ball on the last play or did they take a knee?
I wasn't going to bring that up. That would be look, I just want to say you beat the best name in college football in Tony Muskett. So that's a big win for University of Miami.
It's almost as good as the new Giants quarterback.
Oh boy, you know he eats gabagool.
Tommy DeVito or something.
Tommy DeVito.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, George, for your simulations. The GCS simulations. We might have to bring those back. It's now time for the final score of the Miami at North Carolina State game. What's your pick here, Freed?
I'm just going to say, I'm once again asking for you to put Jakari Brown into the game, at least for a few drives. I just can't comprehend how he can be any worse than Tyler Van Dyke.
Well, you don't want to burn his red shirt, right? Isn't that the whole thing?
Who cares? There's 3 games left. There's 4 games left of the season. 4 games for the red shirt. I mean,
yeah. I feel like they're going to get him in. Get
his feet wet this game so he can contribute against Florida State. But TBD, I love the guy. I respect what he's done, but at this point, until he gets healthy and can prove he's fully healthy, he's a liability, throwing multiple interceptions every single game. So I'd like to see Jakari. I'd like to see what he can do with that good offensive line. I think having that quarterback run threat would just open it up even more, and we could just really dominate on the ground. I would love to see that.
Interesting. Freed is calling for our 3rd string quarterback.
NC State. They just beat Clemson, but NC State is not good. Don't get me twisted. Virginia was not good. We went to overtime. Georgia Tech is not good. They beat us. North Carolina is not good. They beat us handedly. This is going to be a close game. I'm going to go NC State 27, Miami 28. Another heart palpitating, hopefully win. And I've been wrong 4 weeks in a row because I called Virginia to win last week. So I should probably call for NC State to win, but I feel like Miami can take NC State. They'll be ready to play on the road.
All right, we're going to do a little role reversal there, Freed, because I will be predicting North Carolina State to edge out Miami 24-23. I've had this, like, I've been looking at this terrified on the schedule all year. I just know that this is going to be like a rowdy atmosphere. I feel like
that's what we need. We need that rowdy atmosphere because we play at home and the crowd is dead and starts booing after TBD throws his first pick. Like, it's hard to get up. They'll be ready to go play this game. And NC State is not good. I have them in a season-long pick 'em. I've been following them and rooting for them all year. They suck.
Freed, if we don't win this game, we're going to lose 3 in a row, and we're going to finish 7-5. Like, we're going to lose to this, we're going to lose to Florida State, and then we're going to lose to Louisville back to back to back. Like,
Louisville's not good.
We have to win this game.
Dude, I'm not worried about the ACC is trash. All these teams, except for Florida State, are really, really bad, and Florida State is just slightly above average.
Louisville's 7-1.
Who?
Louisville.
And who have they beaten other than Notre Dame at home in that one game where they had their whole city at it? And Notre Dame's not even good. So why are we even going down that road?
They beat NC State 13-10. What a barn burner. All right. Well, enough of us. I've got Miami losing by 1. You've got them winning by 1. George, do you got an opinion here?
I've got Miami 27-22.
Okay.
22.
Is that 22? GCS?
How's that gonna happen?
It's not GCS. It's just coming out of my dumb brain. Miami's favorited by 4. I think they'll cover it, but it is going to be a difficult game.
I'd love a cover. That would be so nice. And not in overtime. Oh man!
You obviously haven't been watching a lot of Canes games.
I'm just trying to put positive energy out there.
Don't do that.
I spent the entire baby shower upstairs in a corner by myself watching the game, just shivering. It was awful.
Don't put their positive vibes or where positive vibes go to Miami games to die. I'll say that much. All right, folks, we've made it to the end of our picking segment. The last thing we have to do is tell you what is our final score for the Brew Doctor Orange Oasis. George, we give a score 1 through 10. You're not going to have much of a barometer here because it's your first Booch, but 1 is the worst thing you've ever had. 10 is the best thing that you've ever had. Where we usually get the most scores is that 7. So 6 is you would drink it. Oh, no, sorry. 5 is would drink it. 6 is would buy it. 7 would recommend it. And then 8 is delicious Booch. And then you can kind of figure out where things go from there. We take up to a decimal point. Free, do you want to start us off just to get us an idea?
Yeah, and for the record, for all those Boochies out there listening, it's on any given Booch ball, right? It depends on how you feel, what you've been eating that day, or lack thereof. I was hungry going in. I could probably pound another 2 bottles of this right now because I'm hungry for Booch. It was good. I'm borderline delicious on this kombucha. I don't think I'd be there every day, but right now, 7.7.
Okay, very strong showing for the Brew Doctor. George, any thoughts?
It is my first Booch, so I'm just going off base things that I've drank in the past, and if I drink this again, I'd put this at an 8-1. This
Delicious.
opened my world up to kombucha, and I'll be having it again for sure, and experimenting with a few different flavors in the future.
Wow, we found a Brew Doctor boy. Damn, we're gonna have to ask Rob for a cut.
Spreading the gospel of Booch worldwide.
We should just tell people that we had the founder of Brew Doctor on the podcast because they're not gonna look into it at all. Like we had an employee of Brew Doctor, one of the original guys. So we should just say we had one of the original founders of Brew Doctor on the podcast. I feel like that's the way that we should say it, right, Fried?
Brew Doctor executive.
However, you cannot buy me just because we have the Brew Doctor executives on the podcast doesn't mean I'm going to give them a delicious score. But that isn't not to say I'm not going to recommend their kombucha. I feel like it was right up at that threshold. I enjoyed this kombucha. I would drink it again. I would tell people that they could drink it if they were looking for something that kind of like tasted like tea. It's not super high up my board, but it did just enough to earn a 7.1.
That's a good score, Alex. I feel like that's more of a true score. If I wasn't starving right now, I think I'd be in that vicinity. But like you said, anybody who's into tea, especially Earl Grey, it's like an Earl Grey soda. What's not like?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So if we use the BGS as our motivation, we have a kombucha loving robot who does his own set of calculations. Let's see what the average score is for this Brew Doctor Orange Oasis. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop. 7.63.
Wow. 7.63. Fried, have you figured out the Booch ratings yet? Do we know where it slates in, or we're still going to have to figure that out later?
Nah, dude. We need an intern. The Booch big board's gotten huge. Yeah. We got over 50 Booches.
We need George to come in here and start running some simulations.
That's
or
right.
Or at least start organizing the columns. All right, we'll figure it out. All right, 7.63. Very strong showing.
It's a top 25 Booch for sure.
Yeah, that's an excellent Booch. That's a top 15.
Yeah.
Top 15er.
It'll end up around number 15, I think, when all the dust settles.
Yeah. All right, George. Well, thank you for helping us to come to the conclusion about the Brew Doctor Orange Oasis, for telling us what we're drinking, what we're thinking, and who we're picking. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a friend, you should pick on George Johnson anytime. He's your guy.
Very kind of you. Boys, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure to have you. George, are you on Twitter, or where do the people find you?
I am on Twitter. I have no idea what my Twitter handle is.
Well, you also
hold
have
on.
a podcast of your own, a DJ podcast.
It's a
George.
DJ podcast. It's called Bop City. I used to put up weekly. Now it's just whenever I'm feeling new music, and they're live
But you can
mixes.
put them on.
40
You can
minutes
put
each.
them on at the club, like if you're having a party.
Oh,
you can put on a
100%.
podcast.
Yeah.
You're just it's just a DJ set.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't talk
it's
at all. So
a
if you
great
hated
idea.
this, you'll love Bop City.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sick. I'm not.
Perfect. You might have to try to steal some of rip some of your DJ stuff and throw it in.
So Spotify, Bop City.
It would be on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, everything but Spotify, because Spotify does not allow music podcasts, sadly.
Oh, okay. Apple Pods. Check him out. We'll be hearing for some more. We'll be hearing from George in the future for some more
BCS
simulations.
Yeah. Okay. We'll work on a catchy name for it. I think it's GCS.
GCS.
It's GCS. Yeah.
GCS.
We'll figure it out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Boochies, we love you. And as always,
Stay cultured. Peace.